What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1055 of Pop Culture Crisis. I couldn't figure out, what did I want to do? Did I want to do the high-energy intro, or did I want to do, like, the laid-back, smooth jazz intro? You never know. My name is Brett. I'm doing an intro somewhere in the middle. I hope you are all doing fantastic today. I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. If there is, like, some bonus sounds here, I can't tell if you're picking up the external fans that we are running right now. I don't know. I don't think that they're being picked up by the mics, but it is like 95 degrees today, 94 or 95 degrees out, and the air conditioning in this room doesn't work very well because we have to put up the sound curtains and everything, so we have to leave them down all day, and now we're kind of just mildly overheating, and the person who is overheating with me is filling in for Mary today. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Olivia. I'm happy to be back.
Oh, I don't know about that. Not in this heat.
It's good to be back. Look, yeah, it's a little hot, but it's better than being outside right now in the direct sunlight.
That is true.
I'll take what I can get.
And speaking of what I just said, I'm just going to read this one from Corey Anderson. It says, "No, Mary, get dysentery." Corey, I don't believe either Mary nor Olivia would know the reference to dysentery.
Yes, I do.
If you're referring to
Oregon Trail.
Okay, you do. Okay. Here I am, just assuming the kids these days don't know anything.
Mary's a younger woman and just assumes she knows nothing about culture.
About the game Oregon Trail? Yes. I'm going to assume that the kids... Okay. When did you play Oregon Trail?
When or where?
When? In school?
In school and a little at home, because it was one of those games that I would also play at home.
You guys had it on like a CD-ROM back in the day? Did you guys have a computer room?
Yeah, we had a computer area.
Oh, okay.
Which was in the basement, sectored off. And
that's where they should be. That's where computers
my brother would
be.
watch Homestar Runner, if you know, you know, and other such things, and I would do my own thing on the computer.
All right. How you doing today other than that?
I'm okay. Other than it being hot, it's okay, you know. It's been a long couple weeks for us. We've been busy, and so I'm definitely tired, but I have the hair back today. I wasn't going to do it because I think I look like an egg with my hair back.
And I had a hat on. I took it off. I'm like,
you
nope,
did, didn't you? Yeah.
Not in this weather.
And I have like a little hair back here. If you're watching, you can see it, that I had to like tuck back because of the fan. Yeah. So you can tell this one is kind of in the air. It's because the fan is right here. I don't like putting my hair back, but today, I can show them the clip though. The cow clip.
Oh, yes.
I have a lot of novelty.
One more time.
I'm going to explain. I have a lot of novelty clips, hair clips. I make bows, but then I also have a bunch of claw clips. I don't want to divert too much, but I will show you guys because it's a cow and it's cute. I have a bunch.
Not very zoomed in. Okay.
It's okay. They'll be able to tell. Maybe I'll do a bear or a bear claw, a bear or bow. Whoa, yeah. A bow or a claw of the day, and I can post it on my feeds.
Guys, don't worry. Mary is still working on her stuff. You should go follow her on X, and you should send her well wishes and say
Mary
we
archived.
want you. Yeah, and say you want her back soon, so she can get back to work here. We got a 20 here from Not That John Stewart. Says happy Monday, PCC. Went to a show this weekend and saw Philip from the group All That Remains. He asked me to tell everyone hello.
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Well,
saw the photo,
Philip
though, right?
From All That Remains, I guess. Hello, Philip, whoever you are.
Whoever you may be.
Not
That John Stewart. I believe he missed the Sunday live stream because of that, correct?
Yeah, I showed you the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a 20 here from ZM Squad coming in hot to start the show.
Let's go.
I love it. More than any 5-hour energy. The $20 super chats.
Please get off, Kefi.
From ZM Quad says, I started watching Person of Interest this weekend. It's awesome, Brett. I can't believe you have ever mentioned how good this show is on the show. What? I can't believe.
I think he's saying I can't believe you never mentioned how good.
Was he supposed to be making a joke?
You've never mentioned it. So.
Oh, yeah. You know me, never mentioning Person of Interest on this show, ever. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched it, you should go. It's on Amazon Prime. You likely already pay Papa Bezos some money to get your your 2-day shipping sent to you. Go and watch Person of Interest on there. I pay the extra $3 to get like the no ads version.
Yeah.
I do. And you should go watch it on there. It's a fantastic show. Everybody should go and watch that show. Also, while sitting up today, you may actually see my knees. Sorry about that. It's too hot today to wear long pants. It's just the way it is. Plus, I get to wear shorts to work. How awesome is that? So also hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Share the episode out with your friends and your family and your loved ones, the people in your life that you like, the people in your life that you don't like. The more people that you share the show with, the faster the channel can grow. It is the best way to help us out. And then talk with people, argue with them in the comment section if you must, so that you can increase our engagement and help the channel do better. We appreciate it. What are we getting into today? We do have a bunch of stuff to talk about. Number one, of course, being my favorite person to discuss, which is Kristen Stewart, who is just always saying something about Hollywood, about capitalism, about how bad it is to make money or want to make money on your art. She doesn't like the finance bros. That's who she thinks runs the world. So we are going to talk about some comments that Kristen Stewart made while at Cannes Film Festival. She also did something I almost thought could have been cringe of the day, but I didn't see it until just after we went live. So maybe I'll throw that in there somewhere. So stay tuned for that. We are also going to talk about more stuff coming out of Cannes Film Festival. Me Too is continuing, and the goalposts have moved, ladies and gentlemen. What once started as a pushback against systemic abuse of power and sexual abuse in Hollywood has now kind of boiled down to we need gender parity on every set, and it needs to be 50-50 on everything. So we'll get into all of that. We'll talk about it. Also, Alex Cooper from the Call Her Daddy pod.
I'm traumatized. I can never say it again.
Why not?
Because now it's a soundbite to Discord of me saying "Call me daddy."
So it's okay. Alex Cooper of the Call Her Daddy podcast is pregnant with her first child, and people are talking about the hypocrisy of running a podcast where you tell women to go out and become harlots and then go and live a traditional life with a man. So we're going to talk about that. And the reason I kind of harped on that a little bit is over the weekend, I caught a couple of clips. I listen to a lot of X-Files podcasts when I'm on my walks or my runs every night now. And I heard somebody say Skulder and Mully, and I had flashbacks to the fact that I called Patrick Swayze Kevin Spacey. And I was like, bro, we've all been there before. We've all said the wrong thing. And I have now watched enough X-Files content that I can name 2 different podcasts or shows or YouTube shows that have made that mistake, on top of the fact that they've also made that mistake while on set. So I was just making a slight joke at your expense, but don't worry. You know what it actually means when you do something like that? It means that you're in the moment and you're actually like living the topic and you're not worried about screwing up. You don't want to be like me, where I'm always like worried about screwing up. That way I sound stupid most of the time anyways, so it doesn't matter. You don't want to be me. Yes?
True. That's very true.
Also, you should also check out, if you are not yet a PCC channel member on YouTube, you should go and watch that on Saturday. On Sunday, we came in and we did a review for the movie In the Gray. It is a brand new Guy Ritchie movie. I think if we've got some time at the end of the show, and I bet you that we will, we might just do like maybe a quick, like shorter review of that movie starring Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Isa Gonzalez. But we did a full like hour and 20 minutes. We talked about the movie. We kind of dissected it, the things we liked, the things we didn't like. We talked with the chat for a bit. It's something that I've been looking to do a lot more of, is to go to these movies and then do live movie reviews on the weekend. And it's a lot of fun to be able to go and do that. We do it live for everybody who wants to watch on the weekend, you know, no matter what. But then if you are a channel member, you can watch it after the fact if for some reason you weren't able to watch it there when it actually happened. I was hiding my legs there when I said like that.
Yeah.
Keeping it below the table. All right. If we got a bunch of other stuff on top of all the main topics. If you're ready to go, we can go. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Let's go for it. Let's get started then, shall we? Shall we talk about the possibility of a trans James Bond? Yes, so we talked on Friday a little bit about Jacob Elordi and the possibility of who just might be cast as the next James Bond, because Amazon has officially started their casting call for the next James Bond. And I saw this article, and I thought we should at least have some fun going through the first part of it. This is from Out Magazine, and it says 10 trans and non-binary actors who'd perfectly play James Bond. Who is going to be the next British spy? Here we go. Casting has begun for the next 007. We'd love to see these actors play the unstoppable British secret agent. My favorite part about all of this is they don't give a crap whether they're British or not, because there's just not that many people to choose from. It says, calling all of Hollywood's transgender men, trans mask, and non-binary actors. Your chance to step into the shoes of the world's foremost fictional secret agent, James Bond, has finally arrived. As Variety reports, the hunt for the next 007 is underway, and Amazon MGM has recruited casting superstar Nina Gold to find the next actor who's going to carry the license to kill. Gold's credits include Game of Thrones, The Crown, The Force Awakens, Les Miserables, The Martian, and Conclave. Last year, Gold was nominated for her first ever Casting Academy Award. That is a new category that they have just added there for the movie Hamnet. There are at least 13 out queer men who could play a martini shaken, not stirred, with the suave style James Bond fans demand of the historic member of Her Majesty's Secret Service. I do love that this writer got their chance to take and use all their James Bond knowledge while writing this article.
They said Her Majesty. Is that supposed to be canon then?
That's literally a phrase that's used. Her Majesty's Secret Service.
But there's a king now.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
So I was wondering if that's canon and it's supposed to just...
Wait, is it different if it's a king? Is Majesty?
His Majesty.
Oh, her...
Not
Her
Majesty.
Yeah.
They're so stuck on the pronoun
His
game.
Majesty.
I'm surprised they didn't pull that.
There you go. Oh my gosh. Somebody... We need to go... I'm going to send him a message.
Send him a message right now.
I'm going to send him a message later and say it's... It's His Majesty's...
Actually...
I'm sorry, but those are the worst jokes.
Actually, it's His Majesty.
I was pointing out to somebody how... the worst part of the Scary Movie 6 trailer was like the pronoun joke at the very beginning. I don't think you saw that because you didn't come with me to see Mortal Kombat. But there's like a point in the very beginning where somebody says, my pronouns are this, this, and this. And I was like, this joke just feels 10 years old at this point. Okay, let's reel it back. I'm going to change it for them. The member of they said the Majesty's Secret Service.
That's even worse. That's even worse because they're not even like their Majesty.
I inserted her by accident.
Well, yeah, because the Queen, up until a couple years ago, which for both our lives, she was. So you get used to it, you know.
It's ma'am. Okay. The Majesty's Secret Service, as outreported in August of 2025, veteran out actor Ian McKellen had once been on record since 2017 calling for a gay James Bond. See, that's the problem. That doesn't matter if the actor playing James Bond is gay. It matters if they change the fundamental core of the character, which is that he's suave, he's a ladies' man, women want to be with him, men want to be him. It would fundamentally change the character to make him gay. Nobody cares if you cast a gay actor to do that, or at least the majority of people aren't going to care if you cast a actor who is gay. At one point, I would have said Luke Evans could have played James Bond, and he is an out gay actor from the UK. Would have been perfectly fine with that. I think he's probably a little bit, actually I don't know how old he is, but he may be up there or a little bit too old now, but he could have done that at one point. I don't think it would have mattered. So it says, but this is the year 2026, the year in which the United States government announced its new counterterrorism policy is to target radically pro-transgender groups, as The Advocate reported earlier this month. So in response, why not cast a trans man or even a non-binary actor as the next hero of MI6? Well, I can tell you why.
Can I tell you?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Because the idea of men wanting to be him and women wanting to be with him fundamentally changes because women already are him in that case, because they're women masquerading as men. And so the idea is that men maybe would have wanted her previously without the changes, and like it's just not the same. Like there is no trans person that's super masculine that men are like, yeah, I want to be like that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So it says, why not? And I can tell you why they won't do it. It's not going to sound like the most interesting explanation, but the explanation is that they're not a political advocacy group. Amazon and MGM don't want to make a political statement most of the time. They want to make money. They didn't buy James Bond and MGM for billions of dollars to make a political statement. They bought James Bond and MGM for billions of dollars so that they can turn those billions of dollars that they spent into more billions of dollars down the line. I think that makes perfect sense. We'll talk about it later when we get into Kristen Stewart and when we talk about the bros, the finance bros, and capitalism. It's fantastic. So here's their first recommendation. Elliot Page. Elliot Page is American, I believe.
American woman.
And they can have the Lenny Kravitz. Was that Lenny Kravitz who sang that song, American Woman? Page has been seen in will be seen in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey this July. Since his coming out, has also had the experience in The Tiger, Close to You, and the television series The Umbrella Academy. Prior to his transition, Page was known for Juno, Inception, Flatliners, and X-Men Days of Future Past. Look at what is going on right now with the casting for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan, with all of the goodwill that he has built up in Hollywood over the last 20 years, 30 years, however long he's been making movies, is still dealing with backlash because of casting choices that he has made in this movie, because people are taking a rigid understanding of what they believe the source material should be, even though the fact that they're making the argument that Helen of Troy wasn't a real person, they're ignoring the fact that Greeks might have a right to be upset if you don't cast a Greek person in that role. And I'm not even somebody who's, as you know, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow, we're going to talk about where Elon Musk is wrong about his comments about the Oscars, because he is wrong fundamentally about what is required to win a Best Picture Oscar. You do not need to have a diverse cast to do that. You need to meet 2 of 4 major requirements. One of the 4 is the diverse cast, but it's not a requirement per se. But the point is, people are taking issue with liberties being taken with casting, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, even if it doesn't necessarily bother me.
Yeah, it was the Guess Who, by the way, that sang American Woman.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. But it's not going to work. And also, I have a lot of problems with Out magazine not on their philosophy, but the fact that, like, I've noticed typos already, and, like, there was one, they put the tiger, but the T isn't italicized, but the rest is, and it's really bothering me.
That's okay.
And that's literally what I was sitting here staring and thinking about, was the fact that...
I thought I had said something, like, I'd missaid something the way you were looking at me.
No, I was just staring, and I just was, like, so perturbed by this, but... it's so tiresome. It really is so tiresome.
Here's Brian Michael Smith. This is not somebody I've heard of. Smith, who's best known for being the first out black trans man cast in a television series regular role on 911 Lone Star, already played a spy in the short film Who Are You? The Forgetful Spy. Casting him as 007 would also make him the first black James Bond. He's also well known to, look, if they're not going to do Idris Elba as James Bond, then I don't think that this person necessarily has a chance. Here is somebody named, let me see where it is here. Smith's co-star on the L Word, Q Sheng, would be the first in the franchise in delivering an Asian James Bond. He has also has action movie cred in The Matrix Resurrections. You don't want to brag about that. The Matrix Resurrections was ass. Okay, you don't want to do that. There's a bunch more here. Ian Alexander, Blue Del Barrio, Theo Germain. There's a bunch of people on here, but I think that they're missing the forest through the trees. What people want is Henry Cavill. And I will make a bit of a caveat here. For the most part, I was against the idea of Henry Cavill playing James Bond, just because I felt like it felt like an internet meme in a way. Like, it's just what the internet says. But after watching In the Gray, I'm kind of reminded that Henry Cavill would be perfect for the role. Now, I haven't seen The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in years, and I remember almost nothing about it. I think I watched it at home back in, it came out in 2015, in 2016 or something like that. But this was from the casting director. Nobody asked the casting director what they thought about a trans James Bond, but I'm guessing that they're probably not leaning that direction. But this is what they said. Nina Gold said the next James Bond that she's looking for must ooze sex appeal, and he also must be young enough to play him for 3 or 4 pictures, which is a long time given how long it takes to get a movie made these days. I liked what Disparu had to say about it. He said, it's not ooze sex appeal, it's suave, sophisticated gentleman. Otherwise, you can end up with Daniel Craig, rough as a badger's arse, because you're casting the wrong demographic. They really should be having a man casting. Interesting idea. I don't think he's necessarily wrong with that. This one here says, Henry Cavill says, maybe I'm too old to play James Bond. I'm 42. I'd probably be considered a bit old for the Bond role. I would love to play a Bond villain. He could play a Bond villain because he played a fantastic villain in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. And if he is only tied into one film the way he was in Mission Impossible, he can play, maybe do something similar to what they did with Alec Trevelyan in GoldenEye, where he plays another 00 agent. Maybe maybe he ends up a turncoat. Maybe he ends up getting bought off. Maybe he has a reason to betray James Bond and His Majesty's Secret Service. The funny thing was, I was looking into it. I used to think Henry Cavill was too old. I actually disagree with that take now. So when Roger Moore was cast, he was the oldest. He was 45 when he was cast as James Bond. Timothy Dalton was 41. Pierce Brosnan was 42. Daniel Craig was 38, on the younger side. But these days, actors look younger in general. So it doesn't actually fail. If an actor is 43 like a Henry Cavill, he doesn't look 43 years old, or whatever you imagine a 43-year-old looks like. So if they're looking to cast, I think they can actually widen that pool, because if he starts at 43, the first movie's out by the time he's 46, he can do 3 movies. Maybe he's in his late 50s by the time it's done, and you do like an old man Bond for something like that. And that's actually something that I think that they could do really, really well. And I don't think that is the worst idea in the world. Certainly not worse than the idea of Elliot Page as James Bond.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's supposed to be this guy, like you said, a guy that guys want to be, that girls want
to be with.
You fundamentally take that element away if you try to do that. And also, they're saying he should be trans for the sake of a trans James Bond, not because someone happens to be trans, but also would fit that role. Not that exists. I'm just saying they're doing it for the push.
Yes, it's for activist' sake.
Yes, like it is literally for activism's sake. Yeah. And we need less of that.
Well,
in Hollywood.
they even pointed out, they said like it should be done as a response to U.S. U.S. counterterrorism policy. That's the reason why they should make that change, which is absolutely absurd.
What?
Like I'm saying,
because of the anti-trans.
Yeah.
It's, first of all, like, he's saying that domestic terrorism there's disproportionately a lot of transgender shooters or people motivated by transgender ideology. That's what the Trump administration is saying.
It's got nothing to do with James Bond.
And it has nothing to do with transgender people as a whole. It has to do with stopping the violence that seems to correlate. But they're taking it and they're twisting it as they do. And it also just bothers me that they had like 2 really like big typos. So that's just me being like annoyed with that.
That's what I'm gonna...
If you're gonna have a publication dedicated to being queer or whatever, like at least do it well. Mm-hmm. Don't just like have it kind of, I don't want to swear, but like
my typos
half
are
butt,
yeah.
half butt it. I don't want to swear. Just like half the job. It's like you just had to, and that goes through an editor. How did no one see that? That was the first thing I saw in that paragraph.
We should do a segment where you go through all the articles we do for an episode, and then you just fix their mistakes.
I could. I used to write for a news agency. I guess I technically could.
So given what they now about James Bond, because you're not a James Bond fan, but the description of the character, meaning that he's suave, he's sophisticated, ladies want to be with him, men want to be him. Do you think that Henry Cavill's performance in The Grey kind of qualifies him for that role?
It's just funny. You're very much a fan of Henry Cavill being a James Bond.
No, I'm not. That's the thing. I've been turned around on that. Before this, I argued against it.
I mean,
I said
yes,
he would be. I said the same thing about him that I said about Idris Elba, which is that they both make better villains than Bonds.
Yeah, I don't know if he would make. I mean, he would make a good Bond, sure. I think he'd be fine because he's British, he's handsome, and he's masculine and all of that. But I don't know. I guess for me, it's one of those things where I don't know who else I would pick.
Yeah,
because he's kind of like the one person where it's like
half the actors we see today are British faking with American accents. So you don't even know.
Yeah,
they're British.
And Tom Holland's not muscular enough. I don't.
He's pretty. I think he's short though. I think he's like 5'8".
Give him the Ron DeSantis heels, and then he could be.
They could do that.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of like if they're looking for someone young, someone that women want to be with, someone that men would actually want to be. Plenty of men like Zendaya enough that they actually envy Tom Holland for being able to have her. I could actually see that. So, like, if it's not Henry Cavill, if we're going to go younger, I would choose Tom Holland. And I'm not even, like, a Tom Holland super fan. I don't even really watch his movies, but he's young, British, good looking. They could just maybe grow out a little facial hair and he would be perfect.
Well, I think the point is like they want that was the funny thing. I actually was going to make the argument that Henry Cavill looks better with like the scruff or the facial hair, but Bond is going to be clean shaven. They're not going to leave him with facial hair.
That's true.
So, and the other thing about Henry Cavill is he probably would have to lose at least 15 pounds of muscle mass because he kind of has the same problem going for him that Jacob Elordi has, just in a different way. So Jacob Elordi's problem is that it's very hard to buy a spy who's 6'5" because he's going to tower over everybody, and it doesn't seem to make much sense that a guy who stands out in a room would be a spy. But Henry Cavill is so jacked that even in a suit, he stands out. Like, if you saw him in The Gray, he's like twice the muscle mass of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is what it is. All right. We will have to wait and see, but I'm going to say no to Tom Holland. Prematurely, I think he's too short.
I think he looks too young in the face.
Yeah.
He's like me, where I get like honey, miss. Mm-hmm. I just have a young face, and people don't believe me when I tell them I'm in my late 20s. But if he just looked a little bit more mature, I could actually see it happening. But I understand the
impulse.
Like, I understand why they would. I also get why they wouldn't. So
all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. So just last week, Harvey Weinstein had a mistrial, and that was of grave concern to a lot of people because it felt like a blow to the Me Too movement, which has obviously gone through many, many different iterations now since 2017 and 2018. And the most interesting thing about all of it is now the actors are all at Cannes Film Festival. They're giving interviews. They're doing women's summits. They're doing what they do, right? Actors, they make their movies. Then they go to red carpets and they talk a bunch of nonsense because people ask them a bunch of nonsense questions. In a lot of ways, I don't even blame the actors for this. They're put in these positions. Now, to be fair, they do love to talk about themselves and they do love to talk about why they're such good people. But we were talking before the show, or I was talking before the show about Julianne Moore, who is one of these actors along with Cate Blanchett, who's talking about Me Too. And they're no longer talking about abuse. They're no longer talking about systemic corruption of power in Hollywood. They're now talking about the idea of gender parity with different roles. There was this post right here. We'll listen to this clip so you can hear what she had to say. This is Julianne Moore.
We were in a bubble of, I mean, I think that, I mean, this is a discussion that I've been having about our work and women's representation from the very beginning of my career. And I always say it's not endemic just to the film industry, it's global. I mean, there's not representation in C-suites, there's not representation in media, there's not representation in higher education.
Okay. So if you can't, sorry, it was kind of hard to hear. It was a little bit hard to hear there, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize about that, but I'm going to read you a little transcript of what she said in case you couldn't hear that. She says, it's not, and this is her talking about representation in Hollywood. And again, this is all connected to Me Too because this is what Cate Blanchett was saying as well. So just hold on for a second. It says, it's not endemic just to the film industry. It's global. I mean, there's not representation in C-suites. There's not representation in media. There's not representation in higher education. So there's lots of places where we don't have the representation we deserve. I don't know what deserve means in this context. Like, what does a person deserve just because of who they are or just because of their gender here? But she says, so I feel like it's a bigger problem. And how do you change that? I don't know. It's like, how does a mouse get through a wall? One bite at a time. You do it slowly, steadily, mindfully, making choices, speaking up, using your privilege, hiring more, talking about alliances, changing things for us on set. I feel like women are each other's greatest allies, and that's the secret sauce. And I connect this with what she also said here about Me Too. And then back in 2017, she says, I can remember being on set not that long ago where the only woman with me was the third AC. That's the assistant camera person.
Okay.
It's when Hillary Clinton lost the election and we were both devastated. And I said, look around the room. We're the only ones here. So I've certainly seen more gender representation in crews. It was unusual when I was coming up to see women on the crew. There's more female directors and writers now. And this was all at the Kering Group's Women in Motion event, which just sounds like the most women's event ever, right? And it connects to Cate Blanchett here, so I will put this on screen. Cate Blanchett says, Me Too got killed very quickly, and she's still on movie sets where there's 10 women and 75 men. Gets boring, she says. She joined the Cannes moderator for a talk at the 2026 edition of the film festival and lamented how the Me Too movement got killed very quickly. The two-time Oscar winner notably served as the Cannes judge president in 2018 at the height of Me Too and led a women's march where she held hands with Kristen Stewart, Ava DuVernay, and many, many other people as they walked down the steps of the I don't know how to pronounce that. It sounds French, okay? We're not French here. This is her quote. She says, there are a lot of people with platforms who are able to speak up with relative safety and say, this has happened to me. And the so-called average woman on the street is saying, #MeToo. Why does that get shut down? She asked. What the movement revealed is a systemic layer of abuse, not only in the industry, but in all industries. And if you don't identify a problem, you can't solve the problem. She lamented, I'm still on film sets and I do a head count and I do the head count every day. And it's still, there's 10 women and there's 75 men every morning, she said. I love men, but what happens is the jokes become the same. You just have to brace yourself slightly. And I'm used to that, but it just gets boring for everybody when you walk into a homogenous workplace. I think it's an effect on the work. She thinks it has an effect on the work. Do you think that gender has an effect on the work?
No, I mean, I guess it depends on the job. Mm-hmm. But as for her job, I don't know. I guess I don't work in that industry. I can't speak to it. I think our environment works better we have some females, mostly males here. That's just the space we're in. But I actually don't hate it. But as far as the Hollywood industry, I think it really just is what is the project. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think it matters who's behind the camera as long as they're good. I think that's the problem. Is everyone, again, like the last topic, they want it to be women for women's sake rather than having it be people that are good, a meritocracy. I am a big proponent of a meritocracy. If you are the best at your job, you will keep it or you will get said job. If you are not good at your job, you will lose your job, get, reassigned or you'll lose it, whatever. I think it's a lot better to have people that are good at their jobs. If you're constantly in this headspace of looking around and thinking, man, there's not enough women here. Oh, there's not this, there's not that. That is just you must be so miserable if your brain is constantly trying to figure out if there's enough diversity, if that's all you can think about.
Well, that is
you
part
lead
of the
miserable life.
That is part of the industry, though. So part of the industry as a whole is they do hold on, let me see if I can find where I was looking it up earlier. I was just curious. I was like, how much do they spend every year on women's summits? As you guys know, as I said the other day, somewhere, and I say this on the podcast all the time, somewhere in America, right this second, there is a women's summit going on, and they are going to solve the problem of inequality within the industry. Now, the thing is, like you said, most people would prefer a meritocratic world where you get the job because you're the best person for it. Hollywood can't even do that anyways because it's, for the most part, an incestuous industry full of nepotism where you get hired because of the people that you know. So your gender actually matters even less than the fact that you might know somebody in a position of power, and that can be a good or a bad thing. Certainly there are actors who come from famous stock, as they say, and they go on to have very successful careers, either in front of or behind the camera. But the thing is, if you're going to solve the gender problem, the first thing you would need to do is to solve the nepotism problem, because they kind of go hand in hand. You're not going to actually be able to solve it. I thought this was really funny as well. I don't know who Harry Melling is, but I just picture this. I hope the volume's good enough on this, but you should listen to this here. It's really funny.
I think we can be so much more for sure. I think representation is key. I would love to walk on a set where it is half men, half females. I would love that.
He has no idea what he's saying.
What is the over-under on the fact that this dude doesn't give a fuck whether it's
he has
half
no
anything?
Clue. Bro is answering the PR question. Like, his PR training kicked in when that question was asked, and he was like, yeah, man. It's like, if they would have said the same thing about, like, minorities and white people, even, like, I would love walking on set and seeing, like, I don't know why I gave him that accent, but, and seeing, like, half white people, half minorities. Like, it's a dude bro PR answer to say it like that, because he's like, oh, well, he wasn't expecting the question, I don't think. So he's like, oh, well, you know, diversity.
Look at his face. He's like, yeah. I think I'd like that. I think I'd like a diverse workplace. What most actors are actually thinking, ladies and gentlemen, unless you are a Cate Blanchett, or unless you are a Julianne Moore, or one of these people who's been a mainstay in Hollywood for decades, you know what they're actually thinking? I hope I get hired. I hope I'm able to end up on another set so I can actually make enough money to feed my family. The thing is, they then have to go to these film festivals and pretend like they care about this stuff, because what they actually want is to just make enough money to survive. I like this one from Disparu as well. We've got multiples from him today. Says, so this is in relation to the Julianne Moore one about her saying that she was only on set with one other woman. Says, so when movies were good, she barely saw any women. Now she sees women everywhere, and the entertainment is awful. If you ever want a succinct explanation for society's collapse, ask a feminist to brag.
Yeah. Pretty much. Sorry, my chair fell down.
Oh no!
I'm gonna fix it. That's why you kept trying to move my camera.
Go for it.
I kicked it. It fell.
Go for it. You good?
Yeah, I'm better.
Okay.
Sorry, you're gonna have to fix my camera because it
That's
fell
okay.
down, but I'm here. We're
You're
good.
I also I was curious because there's always a women's summit going on somewhere, as I said, and I was looking into this one in particular. This one was from earlier. There it is. The 2026 LA Women's Luncheon, which is it's a luncheon in a panel. It returned to Los Angeles in March of this year. It was March 13th. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they talk here about how much it cost. $195 for an individual ticket. $2,000 for a table of 10. 10 seats together, includes logo or company name on a table sign, logo of a company name added to the event website. Why do they want their name added to the event website? So they can look like good people.
So $150 to...
No, $200. $195.
To go sit for 3 hours.
And talk about how we can make inroads.
But not actually do anything.
And everybody knows that the activist answer to this is BS. Everybody knows that the answer is always there's more work to do. It doesn't matter how much change they make. There's always work to do because activists don't actually want to put themselves out of business, right?
Yeah, they want to move the goalpost until it just keeps getting moved farther and farther left.
Also, the funny thing was, the first quote that she said here, hold on, I want to read this one more time. She said, there's not representation in C-suites, there's not representation in media, there's not representation in higher education. So 21, conservatively, 21 to 29% of executives are women in the C-suites. 11% of CEOs, that's pretty low, but still about 21 to 29% of executives. They do note that it's mostly like it's not the COO, it's not the CFO, it's not the CTO. It's usually like the CHRO, which is I'm not kidding you, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I know.
And the CMO, which is like the Chief Marketing Officer. 37% of full professors are women. 25 to 35% of university presidents are women. And here's the thing, 22 to 27% at the top research universities and the top universities, the top 200 are women. That's an even larger number. I mean, the presidents of those universities are women. That is an even larger number when you just include all U.S. universities, not just the ones that are at the top of the list. But like I said, 21 to 29% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. So I don't know where this no representation number gets from. But the question is like, it's like when people talk about doctors versus nurses, like how many women go into executive fields? Like, how many women have the desire to be a high-powered executive or, want to work all those hours and stuff like that? I know, for instance, I would not.
Yeah,
right?
Well, also, it's how many of these women don't have kids that are in these powerful positions? How many were foregoing, really what we're wired to do, having kids and having families, to be in those positions probably at least 50% of any of them, and the ones that aren't,
or
they have
surrogacy.
nannies,
Surrogacy's becoming
or
more
surrogacy,
popular.
or they either have surrogates or they have nannies or both, and that's why they're able to achieve this. Whereas most women who want to raise their kids themselves are going to not end up in those high roles. Also, there were a lot of women professors in higher education. Like when
I think they were talking more. It sounded less like she was talking about professors, because you know what she's talking about, right? People in a position of power.
Yeah,
so she's talking about presidents and
almost every dean of students I've known is a woman. Every Title IX coordinator, woman. They're there. It's just maybe not the job you think they should have.
Well, also, like, then there's the back and the forth, right? Like, do the men working at Sephora say that there's not a lot of representation for men working at Sephora?
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, they don't say that, but that's like it'd be the inverse of it,
well,
right?
And the other argument that always gets made here is like they're not talking about working in waste management. They're not talking about any type of representation working in the fields that are less glamorous. They're always talking about positions of power because it's about actually structural power so that they can change the world into a more feminist line of thinking, which is, of course, Hollywood is the blueprint for that because it's what they call a form of soft power. You can change society through the types of stories you want to tell. One of the reasons people think that Hollywood as a whole has failed in recent years is because they have moved away from a softer storytelling narrative to stuff that's more on the nose, and it doesn't work as well, and people reject it far easier, and that's just how it is now.
I mean, I would love to see Kate Blanchett and any of the other ones complaining to go out and fight for women to work on oil rigs, in the mines, work construction jobs, but they don't. Yeah. Go and work construction jobs, go be a day laborer. What's another one? Like, go work on a train, go conduct or be an engineer.
Coal miner,
or work at a quarry, or any of that stuff. There's a reason they only advocate for certain jobs, and it's because those jobs are more feminine in nature, because they are not down to the nitty gritty of things, and you don't have to have a ton of upper body strength for any of those other jobs, really.
Yep, it's kind of funny because this is like, okay, I'm gonna let you guys in a little secret. I get a little exhausted sometimes. I do. I get a little exhausted because every time we have one of these award shows or they're not award shows. It's a film festival. Every time they have these film festivals, I'm like, we have to have the same discussion again because they're talking about the same thing. I couldn't even bring myself to talk about Javier Bardem and Kate Blanchett talking about Palestine today. I don't have it in me to talk about it. I don't care enough. Or to hear Javier Bardem talking about Trump and Putin and Netanyahu. I can't bring myself to care about it. I'm just exhausted with all of it. It's very, very tiresome. All right. What would you like to see? The cringe or the cute?
The cringe is really bad. Let's get it out of the way. It is diabolical today, you guys.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. What the hell?
Aetherians, okay? This is, I love the, oh my gosh, shut up, you guys. No way. Oh my gosh.
Wait, this person says I met a group often called furries. Like they've never heard of this before. It could be worse. It could have been hobby horsing.
The hobby horse is objectively less cringy to me than being a furry. You're welcome.
I'm sorry. I disagree. I think hobby horsing
actually has agility, like skills to it as far as agility goes. You see those jumps that they make? I'm not saying I respect it, but do you know the jumps they make?
No, I know. It's still
That's
worse.
insane. No.
Putting
a tail on yourself and crawling.
These people embrace the cringe, okay? The hobby horsers, they make every video about like, oh, you think you could do this?
It doesn't matter.
It's so much worse.
What is worse is putting a tail on you. Who knows where that tail's attached to? Putting ears on, getting on all fours, and running around like you're an animal. That's objectively worse than jumping hurdles with a horse on a stick, okay? I'm sorry, it is way worse.
Nah.
If I had to be subjected to one group for a whole day,
you would do
at least the hobby horsers don't smell like they live in a basement with no hygiene.
Well, I've never met one in real life, so I don't know.
Don't. It's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Stinks.
All right. We do have Cute of the Day as well today. Olivia's very excited about this one. Do you want to tell everybody who this is?
Yeah, this is Tank. We met Tank a couple weeks ago at an event that we were at, and we saw Tank again on Saturday. I spotted Tank from afar and turned to Brett and said, "Oh my gosh, it's Tank." And I ran over and I said, "This is Tank, right?" And she said, "Yep, it's Tank." And so clearly he fits his size. I think we actually told you guys about, are you making a poll?
Yep. I'm sure they're going to agree with you, but I'm going to say what's worse, hobby horsing or furries?
So much furries. So this is Tank, and Tank he's still a puppy, but he's only going to get to be about 10 pounds. He is a miniature dachshund, so he will stay about 10 pounds. His name is Tank. That's his actual name. And I finally got a picture of him, if you'll notice the
And they can carry him around in a backpack if they need to.
That's the other one. There were two of them. We didn't see the other one. I can't remember his name now. But Tank makes all the friends. He made friends with a bunch of the big dogs as well, which was very cute. And as you guys can see the crochet bunnies and stuff in the background. That was at my booth.
There,
yeah, that's my work. So, but Tank is the star of the show. We love Tank, and I would possibly die for Tank. There's a high likelihood in which I would die for Tank.
That's okay. It's understandable. He's very cute.
I mean, he's just a sweet boy. And so now I have to do more events in our little area just to see Tank. And there were a lot of dogs. We stopped counting at 30. We had a great weekend filled with dogs and cats, and people were cool too. It was good, but I hope you guys, I thought Tank was so special that I couldn't follow Tank up with the Cringe.
That's fine.
Like I respect him too much.
We love Tank here.
We love Tank. Everyone say hi to Tank.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Let's talk about Kristen Stewart. You know her. You love her. You love Twilight. I know you do. All of you watching this. You love the 2019 Charlie's Angels movie. I know all of you thought that was a fantastic piece of action entertainment. It really did set new records in Hollywood. Who doesn't love Kristen Stewart? Well, I'll tell you who doesn't love Kristen Stewart. Apparently, finance bros in Hollywood don't like Kristen Stewart because she is once again railing against the evils of capitalism, which is weird considering she works for one of the most capitalist industries in the entire world, being Hollywood, where theoretically, when they're doing their jobs, they're trying to make movies that cost a ton of money to make so they can profit and make more money, theoretically, than the movie itself cost. Doesn't often happen. It feels like these days, most of the time, some of these big budget movies, the few that do actually do well, end up subsidizing all the other things that flop at the box office. But they were talking to Kristen Stewart because she was on the red carpet at Cannes for her new movie, Fulfill, to talk about capitalism. This is what she had to say. This was the interview question. They said, "You've talked a bit before about how difficult it is to make a film in the United States now, how difficult it is to make a film in the U.S. now, and your desire to work more internationally." Excuse me, guys. "How did your experience on Fulfill underscore that feeling?" She said, I almost want to do it like, "I'm so sick of the rules." I can't do it in that voice the whole time, though. "I'm just so sick of the rules, and I'm so sick of the system. It's not designed for artists to express themselves. We're just really under the thumb of different priorities that don't align with real dream making." And I don't mean to wax poetically because I mean this very literally. "I just don't think it's possible to create the sort of radical, vital work under capitalist parameters. Especially like most of the people in charge are a bunch of bros that have come up under a bunch of other bros, and those people don't really identify with the type of things I personally want to say, the people that I align with or the people that I align with want to say." That's my
You sound like Stewie when he grows up.
Thank you. Yes.
Like when he gets older.
Says, there's 3 movies that go to Cannes and do well. They get bought by the studios, and I somewhat admire that do well at distributing them and winning effing Oscars. Oh, by the way, she likes to swear a lot too because it's always cool to swear. They win Oscars and that's cool, but it's like totally not enough. She said it's like totally not enough. I know it sounds like I'm making that up because I'm doing the stupid voice, but she actually said it's like totally not enough. And what we're going to like wait to be chosen for like an effing golden ticket. I got the golden ticket. I can make one effing movie. We need to make more work. There needs to be more work, more output, more connection, and less fear, and less effing bureaucracy, and less making billionaires, more, and also less making billionaires, more effing billionaires. That's what it says.
This is what you
had to run it back.
You went, sorry. In the voice.
Sorry. Did I? I thought I walked it back.
No, you did one word normal and then went, sorry.
And less making billionaires, more effing billionaires. I don't know if she means having sex with billionaires when she says more effing billionaires, or if she means like effing them over. Could be either. It's driving me insane. We spend so much money. We just like hemorrhage money making stuff in a system that is honestly not designed for us. Like we can't shoot in LA. It's absolutely impossible. And it's where our entire industry was born. There's no way to play the game anymore. Yes, that is true. You must collapse the industry by getting rid of the unions and then pressuring whoever's in charge of Hollywood. I guess, would that be like Spencer Pratt in a couple of weeks? I guess as the mayor, he's not really going to have much of a say in that. But you're going to have to ask Gavin Newsom for even more tax credits and to make it more cost effective to film in LA. None of that is the fault of finance bros. Even just using the term bros is derogatory.
Yeah. I don't have much. Kristen Stewart. So, I can't stand her. She really is so annoying to me that she has to make everything some kind of talking point.
Yes.
She's one of those actresses, and we'll get into this later with influencers as well, but she makes every single thing into this talking point where she is so sick of the studio system, makes like making billionaire more effing billionaires. No,
I don't know what she meant by that.
I think she means she doesn't want billionaires making millionaires billionaires. It's a lot of errors and billions and millions,
yes.
But I think that's what she's trying to say.
I've made the point multiple times that there's a reason why they distinguish between billionaires and millionaires, because they like being millionaires because they are not held to the same standards as the people who actually. So the millionaires, theoretically, like there is such a thing as like a working class millionaire in the real world, like doctors who fund their own private practice. They're worth a lot of money, but a lot of it is tied up in their assets, in their business and stuff like that. Hollywood is one of the industries where they get to be working class millionaires. So they get to keep their money, they get to keep their assets, they get to keep their capital while complaining about the people that fund all their projects. It's literally the dividing line between them, where the millionaires get to complain about the people that actually give them the money to make the movies that they want to make, which makes no sense at all, because most of the time they want to be able to just make the movies they want and don't understand why people who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars would want to have a say in the type of movies that get made. Now, does that mean that the people in charge of doling out the money are right all the time? No. Absolutely not. They make mistakes all the time. They fund projects that shouldn't be funded. They ask for changes that end up being detrimental to movies. But the point is, beggars can't be choosers. And as long as it's being funded by somebody else, you either make it on your own and do your own business, or you take what you can get and make the best movie that you can within the parameters that are offered to you. She went on in this interview. They said, you were here last year with your directorial debut, The Chronology of Water, which, by the way, just sounds like the most pretentious movie I've ever heard of in my entire life. How do you reflect on that moment now, especially the experience of trying to get the film distributed? Oh gosh, it's been a gauntlet, that one. I've just designed the record art for releasing our soundtrack, and it's so true now that the last creative thing that I have to leave on the table for that movie and finally move on. The two next films I want to make are very, very clear to me. I want to make one by the end of the year after I work on this Amazon show. See, she's going to make the Amazon show, guys. You know why? Because Amazon's going to pay her a buttload of money to do it. It's like when Sydney Sweeney walked away from having It Ends With Us. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Anyone But You done to streaming. They offered her a crap ton of money to put it to streaming because that's where the money is now. And instead they went to theaters and it ended up better for them. She's going to make the Amazon show because it's going to make her a ton of money. And then next year, I'm going to be shooting in April this other thing I have in mind. This is what I want to do, and it's completely changed my life, realizing that this particular project, really just pushing it all away. And so I feel like I've lost so much effing time. I'm like, it's been 1 year, and I've acted in 3 movies. What? I love every director I've worked for. I absolutely love my job. It's why I love directing. But at the same time, I just can't effing do that anymore. I'm never going to make my own movies. Speaking to the whole, how do you get stuff seen and share it with people who actually care? Don't hold me to anything. But my goal is to make something for really nothing with my friends before the end of the year and put it on fucking YouTube. And seriously, whatever money we make from that will be what I spend on my next one, and there will be a trickle-down effect. I just don't want to talk to these bros anymore. And by the way, I'd be lucky to have anything I worked for be distributed by A24 or Neon, people who, by the way, I'm friends with. Like, these are my homies. So this is the thing. She wants to make a movie for nothing, and she's going to expect her friends to make the movie for nothing. And then they're going to what? They're going to use the money that they make from it. That would be monumental. Put it on YouTube. Skip the middleman. You could do that. Would that end up working? I don't actually know. I don't actually think that it would.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, like, you're making the distinction where she's going to make a buttload of money. She doesn't actually care about anything that she's saying. She just goes out there and says things. And we haven't touched on it, but she actually kind of sucks at acting. She has no emotion. Like, famously in the Twilight films, people were like, have made fun of just how bad her acting is looking back at it.
She was younger then.
Yeah, but she still hasn't improved that much. Yeah. She does what the woman that was in The Grey does, where she just delivers her line. She reads a line, right? And that's it. It's all just, it's exhausting. The Kristen Stewarts of the world are exhausting.
I saw a funny tweet where somebody compared her to Markiplier. That's not the same thing. Markiplier, like they compared her success with Twilight to Markiplier with Iron Lung.
No.
The thing is, guys,
close.
Markiplier sold an entire movie based on himself.
Yep.
Right? He has a built-in audience of like 38 million people, you know, of which a certain amount are going to be willing to go and support his work directly. What percentage of the Twilight audience would go to watch a movie of hers just because she made it? I don't think that number is even necessarily close to that.
Also, like, there's so many more pressing issues to people than the studio system in Hollywood that this just comes off as tone deaf and a bit, tone deaf, but it comes off a bit pretentious to say, oh, it's the studio system. I'm so sick of it. Yeah. Oh, I'm so done with it. Whereas,
well, you're about to go do an Amazon movie.
Yeah, and what about, you know, things that affect real people, things that actually affect.
That doesn't.
But
matter.
I'm saying for her to go and think she's so righteous in doing this,
I would rather she talk about this than Palestine.
I'd rather her talk about real world issues. At the very least, you can make the argument that she's at least trying to do something to affect change in the real world.
I don't want
her
them to
idea
talk
is
about
speaking for the little man, and she tries to make it seem like she's speaking for everybody. No one actually cares about the studio system because not that many people are affected by it. I think she is. She absolutely is. That haircut, oh yeah.
You mean you think she's trying to speak for everybody?
I think that she sees herself as some kind of, like, her ego is so big she thinks that she is speaking on behalf of the little guy, and she's
within her industry. Maybe
still, it affects you and yourself, and you're just putting a line out there to put a line out there. You just want to say that billionaires are bad, even though you yourself are a millionaire.
Billionaire bros.
Billionaire bros. But she wants to go out there and say billionaire bad, millionaire fine. Rules for thee and not for me. That's what she's saying at the end of the day, and I'm over it. I'm over. She annoys me. She's annoyed. I've never been a big Twilight person to begin with, but she just bothers me.
I was gonna do this for Cringe of the Day today. I was gonna submit for Cringe of the Day today, but I decided to save it for this segment. It says red carpet celebrities slam capitalism. Here's how much they're worth. Look, I'm not gonna check the math on end wokeness, but always take net worth estimates with a grain of salt. That's very rarely accurate, but let's hear what they have to say.
The thing that annoys you the most about capitalism? Oh my God.
Poppy Lou, net worth $5 million if you're listening.
There's a long list.
Kiki Palmer, net worth $7.5 million if you're listening.
The only people that really benefit are the top 0.003%.
I thought it was the top 1%.
She benefits from capitalism by getting paid to make a movie.
Worth is
$5 million.
It's very simple. It's just way too imbalanced. There's no way you need to have all that damn money and people out here and can't eat.
He's got, assuming that these numbers are correct, if he's got $4 million, that's a lot of people you could feed with $4 million. You can get rid of $3 million of that $4 million, still be a millionaire and feed so many people. Why can't you do that?
The unfairness of the entire system.
Okay, maybe I'm biased here. But
$6 million.
I'm sorry. It says Jason Ritter, net worth $6 million. Okay, so maybe I'm biased here, but the women seem to really believe what they're saying. The guys seem like they're just saying it so that they say the appropriate thing. Because the question they're being asked is, what is the thing that annoys you the most about capitalism? And the women are like gung-ho, right? They're like, yeah, F capitalism. The guys are like, oh, I gotta answer this stupid effing question. Maybe I'm just being a little bit biased here.
The thing that annoys
I think Jason Ritter actually loves capitalism. He just doesn't want to admit it.
I just think the women say it with more emotionality.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Look, guys, you cannot fix the Hollywood system as long as the industry is set up the way that it is. And what I mean by that is Hollywood is now sending most of their productions overseas. They're doing this because the unions make it prohibitively expensive to film in the U.S. The fact that the tax credits are so limited in the state of California makes it very, very difficult to turn a profit while making a movie here in the U.S. Financially speaking, the people with the money are going to take the path of least resistance that offers them the greatest opportunity to make their money back on a specific project. What Kristen Stewart is suggesting isn't actually an awful thing. Going out, making a movie yourself, telling a story you want to tell without the help of the finance bros is actually a perfectly honorable thing to do. The problem is you should not denigrate the system until you yourself are in a place. You shouldn't denigrate that system until you are in a place to offer a verifiable alternative, which you cannot do at scale. For the most part, it's like when people talk about communes versus communism. You can run a commune effectively under a certain amount of people. Once you get above a certain amount of people, it starts to fall apart. The same would be true of Hollywood sets, right? You can make a small budget movie on your own. Maybe you turn a profit, maybe you don't, maybe you get financing and distribution, whatever. The point is, when you're making the movies that they want to make, unless you want to tell bro stories forever with lots of guns and explosions, the stuff that they believe turns a profit, then you're going to have to relegate yourself to making your own stuff for very, very cheap, or you try to get into the executive level. There isn't an executive right now that is not looking at the success of Devil Wears Prada 2 and wondering how they can capitalize on women more at the box office. The same way they did with Barbie in the year 2022, 2023. What year did Barbie come out? One of the two. You get what I'm saying, right? There's a way to do it, but I don't think she wants to be an executive in Hollywood. And most people just want you to shut up and do the acting. That's just the sad truth of it. Okay. All right. Let's move on. We've got something to talk about with Alex Cooper and some other people.
Yeah, so Barbara Palvin, who is a Hungarian model, and her husband, former Disney star Dylan Sprouse from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, are expecting their first child just a few months after Barbara had surgery for endometriosis, which is relevant to the responses that she has been getting. Endometriosis is a chronic condition. It's characterized by extreme abdominal pain and chronic pelvic pain, as well as painful cycles for women. It's when tissue grows outside of the uterine wall. It's a big deal to get pregnant when you have endometriosis because it can cause infertility. All that being said, they are expecting their first child together. At Cannes Film Festival, Barbara and Dylan came out and she was showing her baby bump. Very cute, very nice. You can see here she's got her hands down holding it. And the reaction from the political influencers, namely on the right, has been cringy, in my opinion. As someone who celebrates life and family and marriages, they are putting a political agenda where there is no political agenda. So we have it here from Anna Lullis, I believe. She said, "Culture is shifting. Actress Barbara Palvin humanizes her unborn baby by highlighting her baby bump on the red carpet, defying Hollywood's anti-child agenda. Babies aren't burdens, they're blessings.
This is something we've talked about. Now it is fair to point out that there is an increase in surrogacy in Hollywood. That is true. But the idea, we did the same thing here when Rory Culkin won the award and his wife they were going to have another kid, right? And Hollywood was and the right was acting as if nobody in Hollywood had had a kid in decades. There wouldn't be such a nepotism problem in Hollywood if they weren't all having kids. The thing is, they do the same thing that we're going to talk about with Alex Cooper, which is they preach a life perhaps of a career without family. Maybe that's true, but they are actually having kids.
Yeah, so Barbara Palvin, I believe, is 32. Her and Dylan got married a few years ago. And I don't think that she's like humanizing her unborn child. She's just showing off her baby bump. That's what made me like...
It's like Rihanna. When Rihanna got pregnant, she just sat there and like put her baby out.
That's what you do when you're pregnant. Every pregnant woman I've ever known does that at a certain point in pregnancy when they're showing. I've done it when I'm bloated. It doesn't mean I'm humanizing my food baby or something. It means I'm bloated and I'm just holding my stomach.
Your food baby.
That's what you do. And they're making it this whole thing now where if you're announcing that you are pregnant now, do I celebrate that they are growing a family? Yes. I love that for them. That's great. Congratulations to them. I grew up watching Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, so I actually find that quite exciting that Zach, you played Zach, is having a baby now.
There's a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie says, it's not the salary demands of Hollywood unions that really make it so difficult to stay in Los Angeles. It's the absurdity of the work rules that prevent AD from moving a mic cable without union supervision. Yes, from what I understand is like the amount of rules in place for the unions are so absurd that they've just moved it to like the UK where the union rules are a lot more lax. So continue.
Yeah. So again, very exciting for them. Like I love that. I saw it come out and I was like, oh, that's so great. I didn't realize she struggled with endometriosis, and so that makes it even more exciting for her. A lot of her fans are posting, I'm so happy this happened because she's been struggling with endometriosis for a long time. Same thing happened with Bindi Irwin, Steve Irwin's daughter. When she had her kid, they were very excited because they didn't know if they would ever be able to have children due to Bindi Irwin having endometriosis. So for women who have endometriosis, this is a huge win. Love that. For women in general, people that prioritize families, love that. Love that you're not using a surrogate, even though she is a Victoria's Secret model, by the way. So good for her for not using a surrogate. And good for them for being excited to have their children. I love that. But I'm not going to sit here and be, she's humanizing her unborn child by highlighting her baby bump.
It feels like you live your life through a political lens, so you're framing it through a political lens.
Well, yeah. So Barbara Palvin going out and doing that isn't her going out with any political agenda, at least as far as I'm aware. She's never really spoken on politics all that much. So I was like, that, I don't know, man. I guess like it's exciting, but the way you politicize it when it doesn't need to be political is very annoying to me. But she's not the only one who has announced recently that she is expecting. Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy announced over the weekend that her and her husband, Matt Kaplan, are expecting, and this is now being construed politically as well. Granted, Alex Cooper has kind of gone into some kind of politically lined topics in the past. I will not deny that. She has definitely kind of crossed a line where she gets into political issues on her show. From Outspoken Sam on X, we have, I'll read this first and then we'll play part of her video here. She said, Call Her Daddy podcast host Alex Cooper has announced she is pregnant, that she and her husband, Matt Kaplan, are expecting their first child. I love that they always say, like, and her husband. I said it too, but everyone always puts that in there.
What should it be?
It's just, like, she's expecting, obviously, like her and her husband, they always name the husband too. Oh. It's just funny to me. Everyone puts like, and Matt Kaplan, her husband.
Would it be better?
I wasn't ready. Woo! I wasn't ready today. That one
came out of nowhere.
That one did come out of nowhere. Oh, it went whoop.
When we did the live on Sunday, we had to do it in the headphones.
It was so much quieter. And we got the old one, which was so nice.
Yep.
It was different. Maybe we'll switch off days and we'll do in the headphones on a day.
Maybe. Continue.
Music now. Okay. So she said, while I am happy for Alex, as motherhood and a family are the best things ever, what's clear is she sold her audience of young women a total lie. And she has her video here if we can pull that back up.
Yep. Here we go.
Is that Alex Cooper, the host of the Call Her Daddy podcast, is expecting a baby with her husband, Matt Kaplan. Now, the only reason I even know who Alex Cooper is because I frequently see her clips go viral where she's constantly telling her audience of young women to be as promiscuous as possible. That it doesn't matter what the long-term consequences of your choices are. All that matters is what feels good in the moment. Don't worry about how this might affect the bigger picture of your life. I'm genuinely happy for Alex Cooper that she is having a baby because motherhood in a family is the best thing in the entire world. What I don't like is that she's giving young women this idea that they can eat their cake and have it too, that their choices aren't going to matter. She can encourage women to engage in extreme behavior.
Isn't it have their cake and eat it too?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I went off.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. It's like Skulder and Mully when I was talking about earlier. Let's continue.
Often even emotionally and probably physically harmful behaviors, and have them believe that this is not going to matter at all, that they're still going to be able to find a good guy, get married, and have that white picket fence. But that's just not reality. These things are going to matter. And not just when it comes to finding a guy to settle down with, but in the habits that you've created for yourself. Do you value monogamy? Do you value loyalty? Do you value self-control? Do you value commitment? Are those the things that you have been working on to prepare yourself to be a wife and a mom? Because if those are not the things that you have been working on, that switch is not going to flip the minute that you decide you want something different. So what Alex Cooper is doing is basically lying to her audience. And those lies are going to have a lot of very real consequences for a lot of young women.
Okay.
So I'm going to refute that in a second and use one of our posts that we have here to talk about that. The message in and of itself, I don't think she's trying to sell them a lie. I just think that she did have her cake and she ate it too. It's exactly what happened here.
Well, that's what the last post basically said. Is like
that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute. Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Go for it.
But I want to say Lila Rose also jumped in and kind of politicized this conversation. She said, "Congrats."
Okay, I disagree with the idea that this is politicized. She is inherently a political animal.
I know,
she
but
interviewed Kamala Harris.
I know, but she's also overtly politicizing it with her message here. She says, "Congratulations to Alex and Matt on their beautiful new baby. I hope her marriage and children give her a new perspective on what is best for women. Hookups, promiscuity, and abortion are destructive. Love, marriage, and life are the greatest blessings." Those all can be true. It's just about the fact it was coming in droves, right? Mm. She's interviewed political people. There's plenty of people who have interviewed political people and they're not political people. For example, Caleb Hammer. He does not get political. He really will talk about both sides of the aisle. He's interviewed Gretchen Whitmer. He also wants to interview people on the right. So it doesn't matter who, like, I don't want to tie her politics to who she talks to.
I saw this one from Link Lauren, friend of the show, by the way.
Yeah,
Link Lauren's been on the channel. As I've said, she tells her audience to be promiscuous and have sex with strangers. Meanwhile, she's living the white picket fence dream with the traditional family. She needs the young women who follow her to stay single and immature. Otherwise, her entire business model collapses. She's a fraud. So is this much different than the do as I say, not as I do conservative women who tell you to settle down and have a family, but they're all
at conferences, hooking up with everybody,
boss babing?
I mean, kind of. I want to pull up this one from Gina here. I'm going to read through part of it, maybe all of it. We'll see.
Did you agree with what Gina had to say here?
For the most part.
Okay, continue.
It was just a long post. I was like, oh man. She said the common response to the news is that she is lying to her audience.
Cooper is lying.
Yes, that Alex Cooper is lying. What's happening here is actually the feminist dream. A woman participates in hookup culture as much as she wants when she's in her prime, sleeps around, casual sex, gets the ick, dumps men, gets dumped, blah, blah, blah. She has pretty privilege, isn't afraid to use it. But when she feels like the time is right, she settles down with a high-value man only because it's her choice, not because she feels pressure by societal standards or a biological clock. This man does not care about her past. He wouldn't dare judge a woman for expressing herself sexually. And then she goes on to say she trades in her promiscuous days only when she wants to, on her own terms. And then down here toward the bottom, she says it doesn't quite translate for the everyday mid who works a boring corporate job. By the time she's well into her 30s, the everyday mid with promiscuous past generally doesn't get the same allure and magnetism as a famous rich blonde who regularly rubs shoulders with elite celebrities. Gonna skip a little bit here. saying that men would rather have a younger woman who is more fertile. It's her words, not mine. Yep. This is why we're seeing such high rates of childless unmarried women, because they see that blueprint. But everyday women simply aren't on the same playing field as women like Alex Cooper. Few will fully understand this. Many will try to make excuses as to why this isn't true. Even if you don't see anything morally wrong with hookup culture that Alex Cooper praises on her show, young women would be smart to understand that in the real world, you have a greater chance at locking down a high-value man when you're younger and a bit more austere. Sorry, I don't make the rules. This is objectively correct.
The thing I think interesting about it is if I didn't do this podcast, I would never know or care who Alex Cooper was.
Sure.
And to a certain extent, I still don't.
Sure.
At least I don't care. I do believe that most of the time, the conservatives and the people who like the Alex Coopers, they're coming down at this topic in a very different means. And what I mean by that is that the Alex Coopers and the guests who are talking about their various hookups and all of their problems, it's a lot of celebrities. They're not talking about the morality of any of it. They're talking about the pragmatic truth of the world they themselves inhabit. This is the world they live in. This was the way they behaved. And they aren't really putting much thought into the moral reasoning behind whether what they were doing was right or not, just that it simply is. The hookups simply were what they were doing. The choices they made may have been bad, but women love that stuff. Women love to commiserate around bad choices. They love to talk about it. And the conservatives that talk about it, they talk about it from the lens of morality.
Yeah, I think there is a difference in the framing here and the way that they are looking at it. Alex Cooper, so the one person who said she can't have her cake and eat it too, and Alex Cooper in this world, not just an average mid-girl, but an Alex Cooper in this world absolutely can. She can be promiscuous and do what she wants and then land a man when she's ready. That is absolutely true. So to say she's lying to her audience, she's not lying about what she's doing. She's not lying about her experiences. Should she be encouraging it? I don't think so. But let me say now, I think she's encouraging it because she wants to believe that everyone can have that life. That's like her ideal world, is that every woman can do that, even though she can't. Like every woman cannot do that.
So it is kind of different than the conservative view of like go have kids, because she's saying everybody can have this life that I have.
Yeah, she's
but
saying
they
that
can't,
you can.
Whereas the conservatives are saying like everybody should have this life, but it's not the one that they're living. Meaning that they're saying like settle down, be a mom, but really they're out being a boss babe.
Well, it's also one of those things where so many people will promote this idea thinking you can have it all, but they have it all, so they don't really know anything different.
The rare person can have it all.
That's what
cannot.
I'm saying. Alex Cooper can say that and promote that. And there are women who love that kind of content. There are also women who don't. Okay,
Also,
there's plenty of women that don't.
Her husband is like a very big part of her company, and he's the one yelling at all the employees.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Mary would have brought that up if she was on the show today. She would have brought up the fact that like he was the one who was yelling at all the new employees, and she's just kind of the face of the operation.
Sure, she is the face of the operation, and she's one of those women that can have it all. And for people to get on top of her saying, you know, she just went promiscuous and now she's having a kid. Now you're just showing people she can have that. That's it. That's like really what it feels like she's doing, is basically being an example of that. I don't do that. I don't endorse that behavior. I don't endorse promiscuity and hookup culture, but it is the norm for a lot of people, young people now. And I think to try to change that, when you're trying to say, oh, you're good for her, I hope this changes her mind, it's just going to make you look more kind of snobby to left-wing people, and they're going to be like, roll their eyes and be like, yeah, but look, she did it.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not going to take what they're saying, or they're like, I'm happy for her, but, and it's like, okay, just be happy for her and move on. Like, you don't need to make this some diatribe about how women shouldn't be in hookup culture and all that stuff. You don't have to make it feminism. You don't even have to make it manosphere. You can simply just say, congrats, and move on, or say nothing.
It's not even really highlighting her hypocrisy, because she's not saying, she's saying you can do both. She's saying
yes,
like
she did both.
Yes, she's saying you can hook up, you can be promiscuous, and still find the guy and settle down. Now she might be wrong about the amount of women. I don't even know if I believe that. Given the way that dating apps work these days, women seem to have a lot of choices and the men seem to not. Like, I imagine that most women, if they really wanted to settle down, could settle down.
Yeah.
The only thing that's keeping them from settling down is their own choice or their own pickiness, rather than men simply not choosing them.
Yeah, no, I think it is true. A lot of women can just, if they want to get married, they definitely can. Like, she thought she was ready. She's like, I'm ready to get married now. So she went and got married, and now she's pregnant. I will say the only comment I have really on this is good for Alex Cooper for having a kid, and I wish them nothing but the best, a healthy baby, a good pregnancy, all that good stuff.
This comment says, wow, that's a lot of words to be wrong. Most men marry a woman a few years younger than them. The average 30-something man with a boring corporate job marries an average 30-something woman with a boring corporate job. A younger woman won't even look at him.
Depends on the woman.
There you go. All right, let's move on. You've got more stuff to talk about. This one's all you're doing here.
It is. There is a growing epidemic that's been going on for years, what the media is now dubbing kidults, or kid adults, as you might say. It is a growing number of adults, grown-ups, buying more toys than preschoolers or parents for their kids. And as of last year, it is at $1 billion of adults buying children's toys. What do we mean by that? Well, let's go here. We have it from the New York Post, where there's a guy talking about Legos, and I want to put a very distinct difference on you. Legos are not just for kids. There are complex
You love
sets.
Legos.
I love Legos. And they say ages 3, it's over 100 now because of the one guy who had his birthday or whatever. But
yeah,
typically it was $3 to $99, right?
Yep.
That's made for everybody. And so it is not just kids for Legos. So they're focusing on this story of this guy making Legos, and he started making Legos during COVID because he says playing with Lego. He's building Lego sets. Come on, building Lego sets. And there are some that they don't even recommend for kids. They'll say this isn't for $3 to $99. This is for, like, when we've gifted kids Legos in the past, and we've made sure it's the right age because they are too complex for some kids. So they're saying it's a stress reliever. I agree with that, but this one I wanted to reference the fact that, go back up here, it's a $1 billion industry.
It's a lot of
That
money.
is insane. But there is a more in-depth article here from Good Housekeeping of all places, where they talk about action figures, blind boxes, squishies, you name it, Gen Z probably collects it. Very true. So Sunny Angel is if you look at this picture here, it's the little thing with the bunny ears. That's a Sunny Angel. And it is a blind box. This is like Labubu's, if we all remember the Labubu craze of last year, right? It's a blind box you can open, and it's just a little trinket or a toy. Do I love a little trinket thing? I am a big trinket fan, okay? Leave me and my trinkets alone.
You sell blind boxes. What is
I will get into that. I will get into the difference
okay.
here in a second. So, because it is different, and I will explain how.
Okay.
Scroll down to Danny Greenwood, 28. This is insane. These are plushes, blind box toys. This is a 28-year-old woman. She says, I collect figurines, plushies, bag charms, acrylic stands, and various stickers and art pieces. I focus on certain brands like Furbies, Trolls, Beanie Babies, and Calico Critters. A large part of my collection is also merch from anime series. And then she says it has over 100 items. You can go down to James. Oh, we're not showing it. It's okay. James here says he has over 20 figurines from One Piece. There's another girl who has a bunch of squishies, saying almost 100 squishies. And then she said at my peak,
doesn't seem like a lot
for those those expensive figurines. It kind of is. Okay. Saying at my peak of collecting, I had anywhere from 200 to 300 squishies. Then we have someone who collects Hello Kitty, not our friend Mary Morgan, but she said over 100 or over a dozen Hello Kitty. That's not that bad, honestly.
No,
some of these aren't that bad, but there are some where you're. So let me bring you guys to. I don't want to get too personal, but I will give you guys my interpretation as a Gen Z who likes miniature items. The Boo-Boos were dumb. Number one, point blank period. Stupid.
Okay.
Very weird. I used to make jewelry with miniature items, namely something called a mini brand, which is a miniature food item. and I don't have any with me, or I would show it. I guess I have something similar, but it's not the same thing. So the miniature mini brand things, they are literally micro versions of the foods you buy at the store, or products you buy at the store.
Made earrings out of them.
Yes, I made earrings and keychains out of them. Very popular. People really, really liked them. I stopped making them because they were getting harder and harder to source when certain ones weren't getting re-upped in new series. Then they started making like more niche series, and it just wasn't feasible because they're doing Disney ones. You can't sell that online. They were doing, let me think. They were doing KFC, like who's going to buy KFC earrings? Like most people probably wouldn't. They might buy pickle jar earrings. Those were my best sellers. So mac and cheese box earrings were another big one that people really liked. So I collected them because I like miniature things. I love miniature items. That's my one thing.
I think it's because you're Gen Z.
Maybe it is. I've always liked miniature items. I've always liked, my goal has always been to like make my own dollhouse for my daughter one day. Okay. Make my very own like operating one. And so I think it kind of derives from that. Miniature items are cute, very cute. Can't help it. I get the idea of a mystery box, not knowing what you're gonna get, and you get some kind of goodie in it, right? That I get it. I get the impulse
it's like loot boxes in video games.
I get it. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the female version of that, right? So a lot of people were buying these. You would see the little boo-boo bag charms everywhere, but $1 billion is insane, first of all. And mind you, I'm 28, I'm Gen Z. There are women that are way older than me that are very much into this stuff and collecting them and displaying their collections. I display my thrifted trinkets. I don't really display my miniature items. And I display my builds, but those are different too.
Where do you think the desire to do this comes from? Why is Gen Z in particular more obsessed with this than prior generations?
I think a big part of it comes from lockdowns during COVID. I think you felt like, and we grew up in a totally different age than any other generation. Okay. Growing up, like you have so much more access to things you did as a child that you would have never had growing up in like the 80s or the 70s. You actually grow up and still have access to that stuff, and so you never have to grow up. You never have to fully mature. There's a lot of reasons for it, but that is definitely one of the reasons, is kind of being locked in the house and you have nothing to do, so the only thing you can do
is it just because it's toys. It's not like collecting is anything new. Boys collected comic books,
like
they collected baseball cards.
Squishies and plushies is kind of weird. It's not like
Beanie Babies were a thing when I was a kid. Granted, those were kids that collected them, and then the adults did it because they thought there was going to be like a speculator market on it.
Right, and that's not why people are collecting them. So I will give you guys a bit of a background on this, only because it personally is something I know about. When mini brands first came out, there were a couple different series, and people will pay an arm and a leg for these things. If you can buy them up, you can actually resell them for $1. They come with 5 in every pack. You can sell them for $1, and if it's super rare, you could probably sell it for $50 a piece for a little plastic item. Okay? We were in Minnesota one time, and they came out with a new thing, and I was like, I just want to try them, and they were really cute, and I posted online, and someone was like, I will buy that entire lot from you for like $25. I think I paid like $7 or $8 for the ball. Yeah, that's a great investment. So I went and bought more and sold almost every single one of them, and I made hundreds of dollars by opening them. And people that only want certain ones or don't want to go buy them themselves because they don't want to get repeats will buy a whole collection from you, or their kids all need the same one, so they'll buy 5 of the same ones from you. It is insane. There's a whole market. I know someone who went into debt and went to jail for this. Well, I don't know if I know her, but it was a story in the space, right? Of people, because there's like collectors pages and stuff.
Story?
Quick story is that this woman got fired from her job for being a chronic liar, right? She was just very much a compulsive liar. She went and she started buying them. She used her fiance's credit cards and didn't tell him. She stole from Walmart multiple times, and then would do lives. She spent every day and every night on these live streams on Facebook selling these things. And it got so bad that her fiance left her, and she got arrested and had to, I think she went to jail. She had to do community service though.
All because she was addicted to buying toys.
Yeah, because she would buy like, they come in these balls. She'd buy 10 of them and then put 12 in and try to like, do it fast. And like, we have a 20 here, sorry, from Shane H. Wilder, and then we'll continue. I do have a few toys from my childhood because if I ever get married and have kids, I can pass them on. Some are in storage, and a few rare items like my Mad Mag, Alfred E. Newman, and Alice Cooper figurines. I'm not saying you can't have that stuff. That's not what we're trying to say. I'm saying when it becomes something very specific where there's really, one, not a purpose for it. I have a dollhouse I'm going to give our daughters one day that I already own. It's at my parents' house. And the second being that they're like, my dad collects model cars, or at least he used to. And he has a bunch of them in our basement. And I collect Snoopy merchandise. Okay? I will admit it outright. Miniature items and Snoopy merchandise. I collect that stuff. Do I display it everywhere? No, I usually do have it, some in storage, some set aside. But I would say it's one thing to, but now Gen Z is complaining they can't afford houses. Now they're complaining they can't afford their bills, but they walk around with their $8 iced lattes and their Labubus, right? It's the Caleb Hammer effect here we're seeing. No, listen.
Go ahead.
There are people going into debt to buy Labubus. There are people going into debt. When you're that far in debt, like somebody that goes on financial audit, for example, you are so far into debt. You are, let's say $50,000 in debt, and you are using credit cards to buy Labubus to collect every single one. And you can't afford to move. You can't afford your bills. You are drowning in debt. That is insane. That is an addiction. There are definitely things that I could see as collector's items, okay? I could see things as collector's items, yes. But something where it's a fad. So another one is the Starbucks glass bear bottles.
Well, that's just
things like that. That's over consumerism.
That's the company's understanding, like what it means to put out a limited product, because scarcity is a business model.
See, there are some that I understand, but there are also some.
It's like popcorn buckets from movies when they come out. They make limited edition popcorn buckets, and people come out and they don't even go to the movie. They buy the ticket to the movie so they can go and get the popcorn bucket and then leave.
Yeah, there's also certain toys that are really clearly for children, and these adults will show up and buy all of them out, and then kids can't get them when they show up at the store to get them.
Happens with Pokemon cards all the time.
Yeah, Pokemon cards is one. I mean, there is a lot of Pokemon cards in places that sell them, but the thing that led me to this topic, you guys, is a dumpling. It is a dumpling. I know you're probably like, Olivia, what do you mean it's a dumpling? There's one kid in here. He is fine. We're not talking about him in this. These are grown adults buying these squishy dumpling things, okay? Trying to get a glitter dumpling, the rare glitter dumpling, and they're very hard to find. Five Below is doing a whole thing now where you can get a golden ticket one, where you get $1,000 shopping spree at Five Below if you get a golden dumpling.
So it's like Willy Wonka.
But the golden or the glitter ones aren't the same thing, okay? These are grown adults reacting to getting a glitter squishy that you could probably buy directly from Amazon for $10, but instead they buy however many of them. This is their reactions.
There's a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. It says, because it incorporates my two key interests, marketing and marketing and technology, I'm a boomer who collects various incarnations of the RCA dog. What's his name?
Nipper.
Okay. I have artwork, a salt shaker, and a rare 2-foot plastic replica.
Yes, I have a lot of Snoopy stuff. I'm not saying you can't have collections. I'm saying it's really weird to collect like a fidget, like it's not like a franchise or something. That's normal. Like a franchise seems pretty normal to me, whereas this is crazy. You probably had to spend $700 in these stupid things unless you got really lucky.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
Wait.
I'm sorry. How much of this is them playing it up for the camera? At all? Am I losing my mind here?
This one's cute.
He gets a pass.
He gets a pass. He's adorable. Ready? Yay!
Nintendo 64.
And then this one's funny too because it's not real. It's a cake or a real dumpling, I think. But then she started crying. This girl cries.
They got the same one. How rare can it be?
That one's probably staged, in my opinion. And you guys are crapping on me in chat for saying this is weird. This is what I'm talking. This is weird.
What are those things? What?
Stress ball. A squishy.
Okay.
It's a squishy. That's it. So yeah, it's definitely, that is. I think some of it's fake and some of it's not. I do think that some of them are the two girls getting the same one. That first one was probably real because they got two different ones.
Okay.
Right? So now that people are seeing it, they actually agree with me. It's one of those things where you're recording themselves. You're like, oh my God, I got that girl. Oh my gosh, girl.
I can't believe that that's like a real thing.
It is. There isn't. So there are multiple creators, and someone's saying I could use a stress ball. I'll bring my stress ball tomorrow because I actually hand make my stress balls, and I hand make my balls, and so
you'll have to explain to everybody what the blobs
but I'll have to show
are.
it tomorrow. I'll show you guys the blobs tomorrow. So here are a couple of the people I went through before we got started today. These are people who open every mystery box. So it's not just squishes. There are Disney mystery box, so mystery pins, toys, plushes, anything you can think of. These are people that have actual channels dedicated to this stuff. There's a YouTuber named Chilling with Rachel who has 3.9 million subscribers. There is Mr. Thomas English, who I kind of actually watch. I kind of love him. Okay, I'm sorry. He's British and very effeminate, but he's also married to a woman with the child on the way. It's very confusing, and he's really into Disney. It's very confusing. Okay. If I showed you him, you'd be like, no way, that man has a wife. He has a, no, he dresses up. Anyway.
But he collects this stuff?
Him and his wife, yeah.
Okay.
But he's like the main face of this. Across multiple platforms, collectively, 7.5 million. He's the top one on these. And then Quartz Chaos, who was really big during the pandemic, she's still going. She's got 4.5 million across platforms. So this isn't something that's just niche at all. Not at all. So it's weird. It's weird.
I mean, I think a part of it is like if they see a business model where you can gain millions of subscribers or followers by reacting stupid. I mean, it's kind of like when trailer reactions and like movie reactions on YouTube started getting way over the top. It's Eric Butts crying during the Force Awakens trailer, where everything is dialed up to 11 when it's.
I do think that's some of it, but I also think they genuinely get excited if they've been opening these things for months and haven't gotten the rare one and they get it.
So
it's like a drug. They're like, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? And they're like, oh my gosh, I got it. So let me give you my pitch as to why the blind boxes I sell at markets are different.
Okay.
So these are little fidget whatever toys, and you end up having 100 of them by the time you find the one you actually wanted. Okay?
Okay.
Right? You get duplicates. You get whatever. You get many duplicates. Maybe you can sell them. Maybe you don't. I saw it as a business venture. But you get 100 of the same thing, and it becomes totally useless to you. They're all sitting around. What are you going to do with them? Right? Give them to Goodwill, maybe? I don't know. Just to get that one that you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay? What I do is I take handmade items, whether they're crocheted or sewn items, and then I take a couple small items like hair accessories and stuff, and then I will get thrifted trinkets or thrifted trinket items or thrifted mugs, and I put those into a blind box for people. So my philosophy of it was, what's something that's useful, still kind of sustainable, but a way to incorporate the blind box thing to my business. That was to include some of the things that I have in my shop, whether it be a bow or a crocheted plush or a regular plush or whatever it is. And then maybe some stickers because they're a low cost for me to get them. And maybe the blobs, which we'll show you guys tomorrow what we're talking about. And then the other things you can get is like, there's like a hairbrush you can get a planner, you can get like a notebook, pens, like things that are useful, but you also don't pay an arm and a leg for them. You know what I mean?
Is the argument that yours, it's not limited edition, therefore it doesn't have the same, doesn't feel like gambling?
The only rare thing you could get is, depending on the items, because I use beads to determine which items people get so that it's fair. I don't just choose. Everything is different. So the items I use, sorry, getting all over the place here. The beads I use is basically the gambling, quote unquote, would be if I happen to pull something that's an ultra rare, like a block kit or a trying to think of the other ones. Like a handmade bow, that's one of them. Like a big one. I sell little ones too that you can get. You get most of the things, and yeah.
I still feel like most of it is like.
But you saw them all sell out.
And I'm not even talking about yours.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these people here. Like, I think a lot of it is that there isn't hope for. Maybe, okay, let me rephrase, because I can't necessarily speak to this because I am not young. But I imagine it's a combination of not wanting to grow up, a lack of hope for an actual future where they see themselves in a good place as grown-ups, meaning like owning a home, running a business, having a family. All of that seems out of reach, right? So you lean into things that give you pleasure in the here and now.
It's that you can't take it
and tie you to your youth in a way that you want to prolong as much as possible. Millennials did it with Funko Pops and such. So I don't think that it's anything necessarily new. It's just that this particular version,
but it's geared towards kids for the most part, that adults have kind of taken on their own, whereas Funko Pops were kind of made for all ages again. So I think the way that people can do these things, instead of selling cheap junk all the time in their blind boxes and stuff, also you don't get just one item. You get like 40 items for $25 in the boxes I make. I've worked that out cost-wise. I don't want this to turn into me talking about things I do in my business.
I think it's interesting to compare your version of it to the more corporatized version of it, because the corporate strategy would automatically be tied to scarcity and limited edition runs.
It's not like
something.
that. It's just you never know what you're going to get. And also for me, I use like thrifted mugs, for example. So mugs that are going to go in a landfill if they don't get sold for $1. I buy a bunch of those, and it helped me also get rid of my mug collection that I had too many of.
You did.
It
have
also
a lot
helps.
of mugs.
I did. It helps me get into some of that stuff. Also, if there was something I really wanted out of some dumb blind box, I can just sell or give the other ones away as a trinket in those. And so I'm still using them. I think the issue with these is the waste that goes into it and all the landfills and everything, the packaging, everything that goes to it. So that's just my take on it, is there's ways to still have that impulse. Well, like we saw the girl who actually, I guess Tank's sister, you can call her. The lady who owns Tank, her daughter was there, and she had gotten, at the previous event, had gotten a blind box and said like she was obsessed with it. She loved it. She was so excited. And I sold them out pretty quick. That was the first thing to sell out.
Is a certain amount of this, like, look, the world is a very uncertain place.
True.
Okay? You know, you have a room like that, and it makes you feel safe.
I'm not saying you can't have rooms of things you collect.
I'm saying that's what it feels like to me. Like, it feels like a combination of maybe it's stunted youth or like stunted adulthood. Maybe it's a certain like an insistence on holding on to your adolescence, but also part of it is like it reminds you of a time where life felt more safe to you, and maybe that's a psychological reasoning for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, people like their things. People want to own their things.
But there's a difference between loving a franchise like Star Wars or Peanuts or whatever it might be, as opposed to collecting stuff for the sake of collecting stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
I would argue that they're both, like, in a lot of ways, both of them are not necessarily healthy taken to the extreme.
Well, sure, but I don't slander my Snoopy.
I would never.
I won't take that.
I am the number one enabler of your Snoopy
It's very true.
obsession.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is.
All right, let's go to super chats, ladies and gentlemen. If you have blind boxes at home, don't be embarrassed. It's completely fine.
It's okay. We're not
completely fine.
It's fine. Not talking about you.
All right. Let me find the super chats here, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody's weekend? You in the chat. Olivia can keep an eye on it while I scroll back up to the top here. We don't have too many here. Guys, we're like almost to a second crisis party, so let's get there. Come on. From Katie, says, on Sunday in my city, there was an old man at a Palestine protest to tell me that Karl Marx is good and anyone working is a slave.
Interesting take.
Okay. Well, tell him he's lazy. True. Shane H. Wilder says, happy Monday, Dacivics. The symphony was amazing. I may expand on my experience when Mary returns, since she's been discussing the classical arts. Yeah, she might want to hear about your time at the symphony. Corey Anderson's. Oh, actually, a better question is, Shane, what did you wear to the symphony? Did you wear a tuxedo? Did you wear a dress shirt? Did you wear slacks? Did you wear a regular T-shirt? The world would like to know. Chief Corey Anderson says, no, Mary, get dysentery. There is no dysentery here. But we do hope that Mary gets her tech issues worked out soon and that she will get back to work. We would love that. Genghis Khan. Dingus Khan of Gongolia says Mary should ask Hannah Claire how to fix her laptop.
Yeah, well, let them know to do that.
Yep, send her a message.
Yeah, let them know.
What do you mean? It's Hannah Claire right there. People still say it in the chat. They say you're Hannah Claire's sister.
Yep, that's me.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, random fact, they HD remastered Oregon Trail for modern consoles last year. Now you can get dysentery in 4K HD. I don't want the 4K version of
you
any
want
of that.
the pixelated version.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't like emulators for my, I have an emulator with every 64 game ever made, and I don't like doing it because it looks too clean. I want to play on the Nintendo 64 on a tube TV. I don't want to play stuff on a flat screen with higher resolution. Shane H. Wilder says it was the Guess Who, not Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz covered it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. That's the version I knew.
I know, but you were like, who's saying that? And then we answered your question. My dad answered your question, actually.
That's like when I said Cruel Summer, and everyone's like, oh, it wasn't Taylor Swift. It wasn't even... Who did the version that I like from... the point is, whatever version they were talking of from back in the day didn't matter to me. Because the Ace of Base version's the only version that matters. I don't care if somebody did it before Ace of Base, because Ace of Base is awesome.
Okay.
And I definitely don't care about the Taylor Swift version. Just my opinion. Hey.
You had to throw that in there on purpose.
Someone's in the doghouse. I didn't care for her version.
That's okay, but it was the way you made sure to emphasize it and look right at me.
I did not look right at you. I looked at you in the
at the thing, at the monitor.
And she's like, Arr. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, how does he know how rough a badger's arse is? That's a good question.
Good question.
You'd have to ask him.
Nope.
He might be able to tell you.
Don't want to know.
Wild Man Beyond says Scott Adkins is perfect. Look him up. Yes, Scott Adkins is like a B movie, a B action hero. He could play James Bond. Is Scott Adkins from the UK? I have no idea. He's a martial arts guy. Wild Man Beyond also says the new 007 First Light is coming out. Yeah, I heard about that. All right. Greg Dubier says, who cares about age? Just have Tom Cruise play Bond. This way he can play both the best American spy and the best British spy.
There you go.
They should have him do that. That would be really funny. I did remember reading at one point that they considered Mel Gibson to play James Bond. That would have been hilarious. All right. Username we're not going to read says, I love how women complain about inequality in boardrooms, not construction sites. Very telling.
Exactly.
Well, unless they're talking about construction foreman or the guy in charge.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson says, Melling played Dudley Dursley in the Harry Potter movies. Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting.
It's been so long. Shane H. Wilder says, how dare you kick chair? Chair is a sensitive soul.
Look, I didn't mean to. He just has a lever right where...
That's rude.
One of my legs, I get very antsy sitting here for too long, and so I move my legs a lot. You guys see me twisting around. I kick my legs as well.
Yep. Shane H. Wilder says Kristen Stewart's acting ability has not improved since 2001.
Thank you.
When she was in David Fincher's Panic Room at age 12.
Yep.
She is the same. Burned Oils. Burned Oils is always in the chat early, so shout out to Burned Oils. Says, can men be pregnant? No, but they sure can look like it.
True.
That's
Gates.
me.
It's Bill Gates.
Yep. Brian Bledsoe says, to Brett's activist take, if you're advocating for an issue, you're either on offense or defense. If change happens, then you'll have to defend it and vice versa. So work would always need to be done. I mean, I'm speaking more in the context of the ones who do it for an organization. Then yeah, absolutely. There's always more work to be done. Username we're still not going to read. Thank you.
He danced, ladies and gentlemen.
Mildly.
I love it.
Yep. I did not dance on Saturday for the crisis party.
Sunday,
I don't
but
think.
yeah, no, you
Sunday.
didn't.
I might have swayed slightly left to right, as one is wont to do. Okay, let's continue. Again, username I'm not going to read. And by the way, thank you guys for the second crisis party. We appreciate it. Says, has nobody been in a boomer's basement full of Coca-Cola memorabilia or something similar before? It's not new or unique.
My point is that that stuff's not made for kids. That's the whole point of that.
All right. Corey Anderson says, I collect baseball paraphernalia, autographs, etc. Good call. I still have a couple of things I'd like to get. I'd like to get a teal Ken Griffey Jr. Seattle Mariners jersey. I'm just never going to justify the expense. And I would like to get a Big Eagle WWF scratched logo championship belt. That again,
One day.
It sits in my eBay shopping cart, and it has sat there for about 3 years.
Yep.
It's like if it was back in the day and I still was prescribed to Ambien, there would have been a night where I was like hallucinating and bought it by accident. Cold Leftover says it's just pranks on boyfriends like Anthropology Rocks.
Yeah, so Anthropology was selling rocks for like absurd prices, and they looked like regular rocks. And the girls would go out to their yard and find a big rock and come in and be like, "Yeah, I spent $200 on it," and the guy would be like, "You did? What?"
That's worse. That's like a shit test. Where if the guy is doing his job as a boyfriend or a husband, he's going to be like, what the hell are you doing spending $200 on a rock? And then she's got to explain why it's a good investment to
Oh,
spend
no, it doesn't sell
$200 on
rocks.
a
I'm
rock.
sorry. I thought it did actually sell rocks. But it was because it's something they would sell. It was like a joke saying like, oh, I bought a rock, and it wasn't actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's continue. Shane H. Wilder says, so what we have learned is if you buy something in bulk, package it, and call it collectible, you can make a killing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Variations of it.
Corey Anderson says, have y'all thought about making a mocha plushie? You'd make a killing. No toast plushies, though. JK, Olivia, we know she's your favorite.
I don't have favorites. I maintain that stance. I made a mocha plushie once for somebody in the Discord server. That the one exists, and I could do more, but they would not be official merchandise of PCC. They would just be a commissioned item. But yeah, I did. I made a. But I don't want toast slander here. I also don't want Chloe slander. I got people slandering Chloe and Toast.
Why? Because Chloe's fat?
Because Chloe's kind of a jerk, and they're like she hit Mocha on camera once, and people saw it in the Discord, and they didn't like it. And look. I will not take the slander of any of my girls. I love them all.
Shane H. Wilder says, now I just collect movies and music, but I actually use them. Every time I see Snoopy things, I think of y'all. Yep.
Then we're doing something right.
Moon at Noon sent us $1.49 with a black cat, which I will just call Mocha.
Mocha! Or we could call it Tyrone. We saw Tyrone yesterday.
We did.
Separately, but we both saw him.
We did.
And Kitty Jones.
Corey Anderson says, Brett, have you ever gotten OC an animated Snoopy cell?
What's that?
I don't know what that is. I got her a Snoopy cell phone cover once.
Yes, on my old phone.
Yep. Manic Attack. I wonder if that's... are you related to the Manic Mustache? That would be interesting. I collect anime figurines and Gundam kits. It's a good thing women find this repulsive, so I have more money to spend on Gundam and anime figurines. That is a useful loop to be in.
There you go.
Shane H. Wilder says, I wore my 3-piece suit and tie.
Nice.
There you go.
Fine shit.
Brian Bledsoe says, I too went to the symphony this weekend, but it was an orchestra playing some of the Marvel score from the Infinity Saga. probably a different crowd.
There's an event for everything.
The theme song the theme score to Infinity War that is played during the trailer is iconic and incredible, and better show up instantly in the next Avengers movie.
There really is something for everyone out there. Like, there's always an event for somebody out there. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Corey Anderson says, "Are we bashing T Swift? She's garbage." I don't think she's garbage. I just don't like her version of Cruel Summer.
I will not take the rage bait. Is Cruel Summer not her song?
No, there's been the version of Cruel Summer that I know is by Ace of Base, but then when I mentioned that on the show, everybody pointing out that there was actually a version before that somebody did, and I said I don't care because I grew up with the Ace of Base version.
I'm trying to find out the other versions.
All right. Corey Anderson says, "I want geriatric Bond." That would be interesting. Yeah, he's like literally with a cane. License to Kill. All right. Pop Culture Junkie says, "I have a friend who collected stolen Taco Bell bells. Wait, where the hell is there a bell at Taco Bell? Or is it like the sign? Taco Bell signs. When they used to be in the other buildings, he lived next door to one." Okay. That's thievery. We can't endorse thievery here. ND Will says, "It's literally not slander if your cat was on camera hitting your other one."
Well, now they're slandering her by being rude to her and basically calling for her to never have to be on camera again, and they just hate on her. Look, did she do it? Yes, that's not the slander part. Bananarama, I saw that. The slander part is the fact that they are now making other assumptions based on one action that she did.
Okay. Corey Anderson says, "It is a cut of film from a Snoopy movie or show." And then Shane H. Wilder says, "I think Corey means a film cell from the shows." Sounds expensive. Like if we're talking like an original.
We might have to find it out.
You're giving her ideas now.
You're giving me ideas.
You're giving her ideas. All right. Before we go, why don't you give everybody your thoughts maybe on what you thought of In the Gray. So if you guys don't know, In the Gray is the new Guy Ritchie movie. It was written by Guy Ritchie. It was directed by Guy Ritchie. It was shot all the way back in 2023. It stars Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Isa Gonzalez. The first thing Olivia noticed in a Guy Ritchie movie was there was just a ton of swearing.
Oh my God, I was so over all the swearing. I've been trying to be better about my own swearing, and so the fact it was like there so outwardly, and the women were the ones that started doing it, and it was just really aggressive and like didn't feel like there was a need for it. It felt forced. But then again, I'm not a Guy Ritchie person.
It is a Guy Ritchie trope to swear a lot. What are your thoughts on the movie?
I mean, it's fine. It's the more I think about it, the more I don't really like it. Honestly, it wasn't all that exciting. It was just an action movie.
I thought the action stuff was
the action stuff was good,
well.
But just a lot with the
story itself.
Yeah, there was a lot of loopholes in the story, or a lot of like different parts of the story that were just not fully thought out. There was a lot of potential that just didn't seem to quite live up to what it needed to be.
Meaning that there was a lot that could have been done with it. They didn't actually capitalize on.
There was a lot of emotional resonance missing, and I think a lot of action movies benefit from that. And so
from more emotional resonance, yes.
Because when someone sacrifices themselves for somebody else, you're like, I understand why they would do that, and you at least feel something rather than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think that Isa Gonzalez was the weak link in this movie.
So bad.
Henry Cavill is very serviceable and believable as a suave action star. Jake Gyllenhaal does the same type of weird, meek, on the spectrum action star is the best way that I can describe it. And the two play off each other reasonably well. The problem is they don't actually share enough screen time for the movie to be what it was, which was sold as like a buddy cop movie where they're kind of spending every scene together. They're on screen together a lot, but not nearly as much as you'd imagine, because much like a lot of other Guy Ritchie movies, it ends up being a team of guys whose job it is to protect and extricate this woman from these situations. And for the most part, the big issue that I had with it is that you really needed to buy Isaac Gonzalez as this high-powered lawyer / negotiator who's trying to get this corrupt billionaire to pay off his debt to this other firm. And she's given a lot of very Guy Ritchie dialogue that she doesn't seem to really be able to deliver with any real semblance of muster. Like, she's not really able to bring any emotion to the lines. It literally feels like she's like calling back to the first assistant director to feed her the lines because she doesn't actually know what they mean or why she's supposed to be talking the way she does. She just doesn't fit the role of the high-powered negotiator very well. She doesn't have the screen presence for it, and it doesn't spend enough time with Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal to justify their level in the marketing. And I think if they would have cut back on some of that stuff, it could have gone a lot better. But it is a lot of fun if you turn your brain off for an hour. And the other good thing about it is it's about an hour and 36 minutes, so it's not very long at all, which is fantastic. So you could probably wait for it on streaming, but I would like to draw your attention, guys. If you are new here, we did do like a full hour and 20-minute breakdown where we just kind of talked about it on stream on Sunday, and that is up for members on the PCC YouTube channel. If you are a channel member, you can go and watch it over there. We get into a whole ton of detail about it, but it is a very interesting thing to discuss because it is weird how when you like a movie, it's oftentimes harder to talk about than it is when you dislike a movie because there's more stuff that you want to get into when you dislike something. So even though I think I had a lot of fun at the movie, there's still very much plenty of stuff that you can critique the movie on. So if you are a channel member, you can go over there and you can watch that. That is up now. Broody Gambit over on Rumble says, yes, the Lego Collector Series is definitely not for kids. I regularly get them to build. It is just a different medium for model building, which has been a long-standing, acceptable hobby for adults.
Yeah.
There you have it. All right. Make sure we are all caught up on everything.
There were some more on YouTube.
Corey Anderson says it is in print. It is liable.
What?
I have no idea. The slander on Mocha.
I don't know.
The slander
I guess.
on
Okay.
Chloe. Corey Anderson says, "What are your thoughts on Woodstock, Olivia?"
He's a cool dude. If you're talking about the music festival, legendary. If you're talking about the little bird, pretty cool dude.
Okay. All right. Manic Mustache says, don't be throwing shade on hobby horsing. Those ladies are the third high jumpers in their high school. None of y'all could clear those hobby hurdles.
I was not. Do not put that on me. That was all him.
I could.
No, he couldn't. He doesn't have the knees for it. He was slandering, not me.
I absolutely could. All right. Corey Anderson says, Snatch is Guy Ritchie's best movie. Yeah, I think most people would agree with you on that. The thing about it was the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was actually good. And this movie could have kind of gone more in terms of that film, but they just didn't lean into it the way that they did with that film. And the other thing I will dispel about this movie is that some people were calling it a girl boss movie because of Isaac Gonzalez. She is a girl boss only in the context that she's like supposed to be this high-powered lawyer. She's not picking up guns and doing the fighting or anything like that. In that respect, the movie gets it right. One thing that is rare for most movies these days is when they do the big action guy scenes, there's like the number two in charge is some like stoic woman, or there's random women on the team of mercenaries, which doesn't really fit. There is none of that in this movie. It is unapologetically masculine in the way that it approaches that side of the movie. The violence is very much handled by the men, and Isaac Gonzalez is a lawyer. She's just not a very believable lawyer or a believable negotiator that she could get some billionaire to fork over $1 billion to this other company. Also, they do a horrible job of explaining why this guy is a bad guy. All they literally had to do was to say, Salazar, he runs drugs for the Sinaloa cartel, or he sells...
He's a businessman.
He sells weapons, and he funds Al-Qaeda or something like that. Like, literally... That's all they needed to do, but instead they just made him a generic bad guy who owns businesses. That was the most of it. And they're like, he's got police on his payroll. All right, Brian Bledsoe says, if you want to see a Guy Ritchie movie without cursing, you'll have to see Aladdin and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yes.
We have a 20 here from Pat the Plumber. Brett, I watched a review on The Punisher and I disagree. I think they did everything they could within 45 minutes. I didn't even mind the crippled lady. You'll have to tell him your nickname in a second. I think if it gets enough views, it could relaunch the character.
It could.
We don't remember her name, but what did you call her in the Discord the other day?
Her name is Mrs. Nucci, but I call her Wheels Nucci because she's in her motorized wheelchair.
And then everyone in the voice chat also started calling her Wheels Nucci, which was my favorite part.
Look, I don't agree. They needed to get to the action faster, and I really did. Now, I fully admit I could have missed some stuff. I only watched it once, and I'm not a very smart person, so maybe I did miss stuff. But I found the mental health stuff to be both repetitive of the prior versions of the character within the within the story. Like, you've already talked about Frank's mental health. You've already talked about the trauma of Frank coming home from war, leading into the trauma of losing his family. You've only got 44 minutes. Get to the Punisher stuff quicker. It felt like they needed to actually take it someplace more substantive, and they just didn't choose to do that, in my personal view. But the violence was great. The headshots and the tearing a guy's face off with a pen was great. The breaking the guy's arm clean through the skin was great. But it needed to get done faster. And I'm sorry, but Wheels Nucci, like motorized carting herself away after threatening Frank Castle was absurd. And I didn't buy it. And that's my own personal. Yes, they agree with you.
Do not forget to end the poll. Do they? Look at that.
They do.
Wow.
83% say furries are worse than hobby horsing.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad you guys have my back.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. But you're wrong, because hobby horsing is way worse.
He's a blader. Don't listen to him.
It's way worse. All right. Before we go, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you as always. Olivia, where can they find you?
Well, you guys can find me personally on X and on Instagram at Olivia Dasovic. I have exciting announcement related to PCC and the Discord. So this is like a blending of the two things I have been doing here lately. We have a pop culture crisis section of the Discord where we have the PCC general text chat. We have the PCC mailbag for slow news days and the PCC news submissions forum where I put new submissions. I'll have to fix that. That's okay. You guys should go there. If you have a story you really want us to cover, if you see something that you're like, wow, this is relevant to PCC, you need to be a Timcast member. You go to timcast.com/Discord. I figured that out the other day. You can just go there and sign up. timcast.com/Discord. You can join in the conversations we have on the Discord. You can call and talk to Tim and the panel during IRL episodes. And also, I'm hanging out there. Mocha's hanging out there. Brett even hangs out there. You might get an unfiltered Punisher review conversation with Brett himself randomly where he says things like Wheels Nucci. You never know what's going to happen. You guys should definitely join over there. Again, that is timcast.com/Discord.
I did miss a couple of super chats here. I apologize, guys. From Pop Culture Junkie says, the original Taco Bell building design had a mini bell tower on the roof with a plastic bell. Wow. Easy to steal, he says. So, well, don't steal stuff, guys. It's just don't. Let the Taco Bell have its bell. And I'm sorry, Shane, I did miss this one. He says, I do have a stuffed Taco Bell Chihuahua they released when Godzilla 1999 came out. You squeeze it and it says, here, lizard. I think that's what he said in the ad. Here, lizard.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Shane H. Wilder, says, yes, Brett, missing my chat. How rude. I do apologize, my friend. Guys, we're like, can we get to a third crisis party before I finish the outro? Probably not. That's
Probably
right,
not. But again, I want to remind you guys, because everybody's like, wait, I can see you guys where? That is timcast.com/Discord. It'll walk you through the steps. I am the Discord admin for the company, so if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I would be happy to see you guys over there. I will be there in just over an hour on the pre-show, so I'll see you guys there.
All right. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. Just a heads up, we don't know what is going on right now with the scheduling because Mary's still trying to get her stuff worked out. So Olivia will be here most of the days. There may be a couple of days where I do maybe a 1 hour. Like if I'm solo here,
Wednesday, I will not be here.
Yes. So at the very least on Wednesday, I'll probably do a 1 hour episode, just cover a couple of things. It's not going to be anything special, but you can be stuck with me for an hour in time if that is what you so desire to do.
We have one more from Pat the Plumber. Oh, PCC in the Discord. It's almost like someone has been asking for months. Yes. Well, I am No, it's not a PCC Discord. It is in the Timcast Discord server. There is a category for PCC. It is $10 a month for you guys to join in there and join in the conversation. Brett and I are making it a priority to hang out over there. I mean, my job is to hang out in the Discord to begin with. But look, I've only been on the job now for a month, so I am doing everything I can to get your requests handled. But yes, I will not be here on Wednesday. So
I'm gonna figure something out.
You'll figure. If Mary's not here, you'll figure
I'll do
it
a
out.
short episode that day, and maybe.
And
do
Phil
an
should be
hour.
back in a couple weeks.
I am. Look, I actually had a lot of fun doing the 1 hour stream with the Punisher review. And
I mean, I
everything.
have 2 back-to-back meetings. So I'm telling y'all right now, as much as I would love to be here instead of 2 back-to-back meetings, duty calls. I'm not normally on Wednesdays, so all my meetings are set for Wednesdays.
All right. If you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. This is the problem when you do the show live. You don't get to retake your stuff. Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify, blah, 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 blah. If you'd like to listen rather than watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help us out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show. Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. One more $20 super chat here from, no, I'm sorry, 2 more. One more from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, I just looked it up and Taco Bell got rid of their bells because they kept getting stolen. Your friend contributed to that. And one more $20 super chat here from Pat the Plumber, who says, Mary Morgan is for the birds. I don't know if she bird watches, but we're hoping to get her back ASAP. With all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching today. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.